And welcome back to another edition of My Humble Opinion. Will, Daph, Mondo.
What's up, good people?
Today we just gonna talk about the state of young Black America.
Black America.
Whether that's here in Grand Rapids, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, like it's happening everywhere. And it may seem wherever you are at listening or watching, it may seem like it's only happening where you are, but it's happening everywhere. What do you think about what's going on right now in young Black America as far as the violence?
You know, in my opinion, I think it comes to a time where it's about guidance, right? And it's how you guide. So sometimes we'll be like, these young people have no guidance. They got guidance, but you just got the wrong people guiding them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of times we talk about leader and leadership, right? And we're saying, well, we're looking for the leaders to step up, right? Without any followers, it's kind of hard to lead. So who are these young people following, right? That's their leaders. So then you have to look at how their leaders guiding them. And then that's kind of, I think, where we get that paradigm to shift is when we change who they look up to. Rather, it's social stuff, you know, from music, you know, actually believing what they see on TV. Like we were talking the one day about how like when people not from our community or culture think what they see on rap videos and movies is our culture. So then young people, they grow up, they might think the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a dose of reality in some of that stuff, but they thinking, oh, this is really life.
Right.
So
what do you think, Daph?
Just one of my opinions. Just one.
I think a lot of it is coming from these social platforms and the availability of these platforms to children in society. So if you go out and you see a family out or whatever, most parents now are like, here you go, take this iPad. Here you go, take my phone, look at this phone. And they're neglecting the fact that they're not paying attention to their child. So it's not that they're purposely, I don't think some of them are neglecting their child, is that they're given these platforms the availability to guide their child in directions that they shouldn't be going because they're giving it to them to attain their attention. So what's happened is they're growing up seeing all of these things and believing these things, like you say, and these influences are influencing them, you know?
Well, I think that we tend to think that these kids have no structure or they don't want any structure or accountability, and it's the total opposite. It's the way in which they're getting accountability and the structure, because the little cliques that they're in, there's structure and accountability in those things. I think that it's the parents and some kind of community who don't want to put forth the effort to have structure and accountability. I think they're scared of the young youth right now. They don't want to engage with them. And I think that some of this violence is an outcry for help. Some of it could be because they want to belong to that pseudo family that they've created. And the only way to be in that pseudo family or be accepted or find your way in the pecking order or whatever is to do these dumb things. Right?
So let's ask this question. Let me ask this question. That's why I like to ask y'all questions. So when we're saying about the parent, right? Parent not taking accountability, the parent not providing structure. Now, I have friends my age that are grandparents. I don't think none of them have kids that middle school, early high school age. But, you know, it happens where, I guess what I'm trying to say is when babies are having babies, right? when the parent can't give you that structure because the parent didn't have no structure.
Right.
So they kind of don't know. I think we said before, when you look at some fighting videos, it'd be the mamas out there fighting. So daddy was well known in the streets, right, for hustling, shooting, whatever. But he's in prison. So now Lil Earl, right, because, you know, even if you name after your daddy, they still going to call you Little whatever your daddy
it
name is.
Lil Poop.
So then I think it's almost like you have to live up to
Whatever that's that.
right, you know, like how LeBron James' son,
Right.
Bronny is got to, and LeBron was like, the worst thing I could have did was name him after me,
Right.
because now he's so I think it's almost the same way with like street life.
I think it's kind of like that, but I think this new generation that's coming up, I don't think it's like that for them. You know what I mean? Because some of them, I guess at the same time, don't even, they may not know who, you know, mama's babies,
yeah.
daddy's babies. You know what I mean?
That ain't Earl Child.
But, well, we don't know. It could be Earl, Carl, John, whoever.
Earl, Carl, and John sitting at home like, no.
Wait, whoa, hold on now, Dad. You done went too far.
But these influences, because there is so much, it's pill popping, it's smoking, you know what I'm saying? It's drinking, and they're doing these things at such an early age that they think that this is okay. And the parents are like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, they smoke a little bit of weed, but it's okay.
Now, I will admit that, you know, the first time I started with marijuana sticks, I was 12. The first time I
Marijuana sticks?
Yeah, that's what we'll call them, marijuana sticks.
Okay.
And then the first time I started drinking, like for real, I was like 14.
But
See, I
did
didn't
your
drink till I
mom?
was 21 years old.
Did
man.
your mom know? Did she know?
See, what was funny, no, I don't think when I was like 12 and stuff, I don't think she knew
but
I
see,
was
now
smoking.
a lot of them know.
But what it was, like, every time my mom thought I was high, I wasn't. And then when I was high
She didn't
or
know?
drunk, she didn't know.
You just told on
but
yourself.
she didn't know.
No, I know. I didn't say no. I went straight to my room.
No, I said you just told on yourself.
But
I am grown.
Oh, she can't put hands
you
on
know,
you?
you
And
know,
and my kids is grown, so hey, y'all grown, college and stuff now, so do what y'all do.
You know, he was born when Jesus was wearing sandals with shoes.
So
in
then
them.
what are you saying about my mom?
I'm,
If I'm that old, what are you saying about my mom?
I'm not
She's-
saying she
listen,
probably
she's a
just
good
found
lady.
you on the street.
Right. But
You do kind of look like me a little bit. No, so I
But what I'm saying is, their parents now, they're like, oh, they're doing that. It's okay. You know what I'm saying?
that's because they're not parents. They're
That's
friends.
because they all went to school.
Exactly.
They went to school with their kids.
And then they're doing it with the children. So are
Right.
you parenting, or are you just being their friend and not helping these children develop?
Yeah.
But you remember back when being young, and we did some crazy stuff, but at the same time, we respect our parents, right?
and elders.
And elders.
Yeah.
And we respected how we moved around them. We may still move like we want to move, but we ain't going to move like that. Because
Yeah, you don't move too crazy because, you know, they
Right.
still might, you know.
might pop you in the mouth. And so now it's like a free for all, right? The kids are not listening to the parents because the parents ain't saying nothing worthy of listening to, right? So the parents and the kid is listening to the same music, right? Drinking the same drink, copping weed from the same person, right? They're eating the same crab boil, right? That's what they doing.
And Daff
Definitely.
is the crab boy queen of West Michigan.
Right.
Listen, I do not eat any crab, no broils, no none of
so-
that.
You make them though,
And
so
so
that's
when
all
you-
that matters. Go ahead,
when you
Will.
look at it, it's a lost generation leading to lost generation, right? And we keep blaming the kids. But at this point, what are we doing to foster the environment to be conducive to learning or being a good part of society? I think people like to say, let's go march and let's go pray but there's never any concrete plan, right? It's let's galvanize together and denounce whatever's going on. Let's denounce it. But then where's the plan, right? And there's some people who do have a plan. But the issue is that the ones who have these solid plans may not be the most popular person, may not be the most influential person, but their mind works and people are not following or even listening to what they're saying. So you have to have someone who, one, can go and communicate with these kids in the streets on their level, speaking their language, first and foremost. But then you have to do that one thing that adults hate to do: respect the kid, right? They don't go with respect, they go with authority. And immediately with authority, you're going to get somebody who's going to be on the defense.
Yeah, it's going to be backlash.
Yeah.
That's
So-
going to come back.
Go ahead.
I was just
Oh,
saying.
okay. So, couple things to what you said. Usually, when we're galvanizing and getting together, it's never with the youth. It's with
Us.
the men.
None of the people who causing the chaos is
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So it's like we get together and talk about it. Okay. So me and you get together, and we see Daff having an issue. And me and you just talking about
What's best
what
for
she
her.
need to do. This what she need to do.
I actually don't
she
have
what
an
she
issue.
need to do. She would.
If she
But
just
then we
did
never
this,
go to her and help her out and say, hey,
What do
can
you
I help
need?
you? What do you need from me?
me.
So it's the same thing. Like, it's cool to meet and prayer, like you said, develop a plan and go. But I look at it like what sister always say. Y'all always want the popular people who ain't got nothing to do with this to come and speak and represent. Like I said at our last thing we did, they just get these people who they're in cahoots with to be the spokesperson, right?
Mm-hmm.
These young people don't know you, they don't respect you. You ain't from the block, you ain't from my neighborhood. And then when you come, you don't know how, like you said, you don't know how to talk to me.
Can't communicate. We don't even speak the same language.
Right? I don't understand what certain things mean. Like sometimes you think a young person, the way they are responding to you is being disrespectful. They're not purposely being disrespectful, but this is how they're trained to talk. A lot of them is so wild and stuff because they don't have their emotions under control. So this is how they react. It's not personal. It's not disrespectful. They're not being defensive or offensive.
It's how they learn how to survive.
Yep. So if you don't know that, then you nervous because you think, he gonna shoot me.
Yep.
No, he ain't thinking about you. He more like, okay, go ahead, finish saying what you got to say so you get out of my face because I really
Right.
don't want to disrespect you.
Right.
Yeah. There isn't a religious structure either how we were younger, you know what I mean? Like I know for me, for sure, we were always going to church and I used to be like, oh,
On the rough side,
we got to go to
of
church
the
again.
mountain.
But there's no religious structure either. And I'm not saying that people have to be religious, but there's also no just predominant structure either in the growth of these children. And what's also happening is a lot of these children are being raised by mental children. Even though they're
Right,
adults,
right.
these people are mentally still at a child's state.
And they emotionally deal with those kids.
Yeah, and they are emotionally dealing with those kids at the same level that the child is. And then sometimes these children are taking responsibility for what that adult should be doing. Some of these moms are and dads are making these crab broils, smoking, doing whatever they're doing, drinking. And then they're spending this money, they're spending these food stamps, they're doing all this other stuff to make money
that's
or
600
sell
that's
their
600
orange
gone.
cards or do whatever they're doing.
That's 600 gone. That's 600.
It is gone. But at the same time, these children, some of them feel like they need to be responsible for their
Yeah.
younger siblings. So they're
Yeah.
going out and they're doing whatever they need to do or they feel like they need to do in the street to profit for the money to take care of their siblings because they don't want their siblings to be in the dark, to not have any water, to not have any clothes, and to get by, just to get by every day, you know?
I think a lot of these, we've had, 36 killings in our city?
27.
27.
27 killings in our city. And I think
And that's just
If
kind
you-
of been since the
beginning of the
last
year.
couple, the
But-
beginning of the year, but
Yeah.
the hype just
But
hit
it jumped
right
through
after
from like
Corona.
July,
Yeah.
July, August,
But,
yeah.
Like the numbers was low and then
I would
skyrocketed.
bet and say that a lot of the killings, the person who did the killing was remorseful right after that because they didn't even their mind is reacting emotionally to what's going on, right? So yeah, they did have the gun, yeah, they did squeeze the gun, but what was really behind that? Was it the backlash of this person disrespected you and now we got to record it for Facebook or Snapchat or whatever? I think that a lot of these young men can't take ass whoopings.
They're
right?
emotionally
They
disturbed.
can't fight.
They can't
yeah,
fight.
They can't fight.
yeah.
And so what happens is that back in the day, if me and Mondo fought on the Northwest side and I move all the way on by Granville, I may never see Mondo again.
Right.
So only people know that me and Mondo fought is me, Mondo, and whoever was there. The story may circulate a little bit, this, that, and
Yeah,
the third.
it depends on who friend
But
tell it. My friend's gonna say I won. Your friend's gonna say
then
you won.
they can ask me, I'm like, yeah, he hit me, but I got the best of him. It's gone. It's dead.
Yeah.
Now everything is instant. Every time you do something, every time somebody punk you out or somebody out with your girl or this, that, and the third, every time it's instant and it's always there. And
So-
people ego get in the way.
Dudes still fighting over girls?
People are.
People killing
They're
over
killing.
females.
First of all, I know it's a
They
family
killing
show. Y'all might
over
have to edit
the,
this.
The whoppity wop.
Ain't no cootie cat gonna make me kill somebody over.
But what if it's the girl
Well,
you
you
did the
don't
cootie
know.
catcher with, and her name was in there, and you
No,
fucked it up?
You
Now-
may not know that until the moment that it comes.
Right.
A lot of people
Now
don't
she
know.
might shoot you
No.
over.
Stop
Pew
it.
pew.
Pew pew. Exactly. But listen, sometimes people don't know what they're gonna do until they get into that situation. I'm telling you.
Listen, I'll fight for you, defending you, protecting you. I ain't fighting over.
But some of these, I don't think a lot of these fights or
Put my
killings and
glasses
fights
back
are
on.
over
No.
female. I think it's a lot of emotional.
I
Yeah.
think
And
you
a lot
don't,
of ego.
You don't know how to confront things. You don't know how to.
Right.
You don't know how to. If I have a art with you, a beef with you, I can walk away. You know, I always tell my son, he be in school. The boy got some big hands, and he throw him a little bit.
Got Earl hands.
Man. And I would tell him, I said, listen, long as don't nobody put their hands on you, you fine. I said, people going to, I said, he was like, you know, saying he had to put hands on some boy because the boy kept calling him out his name. He said, I told the boy, you got one more time, and I'm going to show you who the B is, which I respect it. Boy said it one more time. Boop, dropped him. I said, so the reason why you did it, because you felt disrespected, right? He was like, yeah. I said, you could have walked away, right? He was like, yeah. I said, why didn't you? He was like, everybody would have thought I was soft. So
They probably had their phones out.
Yep. No, because they was in school or whatever, so they probably couldn't have them out. So what I'm kind of compelled is the reason he did it was because people was going to talk about him. I said, but if you did it or if you didn't do it, people still was going to talk about you, right? He was like, yeah. I said, so now you got in trouble at school. I mean, you didn't get in trouble with me because I get what happened. Your mom mad because you got suspended.
Right.
You in trouble, so you got to catch up on school work, all these things. You may have beef, you know what I'm saying? So it's like all these things that come with it when you could have just easily like, okay, I'm going to be and just walked away. But I get like, 'cause my thing is, don't nobody put their hands on you.
But how hard is that when you're a young male who probably been talked to by adults like that who you could do nothing to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're standing in front of this kid who you can lay hands on, and he's talking about you. And what if some of the things, if it ain't B, what if some of the things that he's saying is true, but not necessarily in your control? It could be like you're dirty or your mama's smoking crack. Like what I'm
Okay.
saying is like emotionally,
Right.
it's easy to say walk away.
So like my son had a speech impediment, right? So he would get teased a lot. And I'm like, well, he was like, they called me a crybaby. I said, well, this one he was a little younger. I said, was you a crybaby? I said, do you be crying? He was like, yeah. I said, well, then why you mad? It's the truth. You
But
know
he
what I'm
can't
saying?
control
Because
his
it's
emotional side.
embarrassing.
But
you know what I mean?
but it's like everybody know he had a speech impediment. So I'm like, it is with it. I'm like, dude, it is with it. I'm like, people are all, I said, look at your dad. Me and your uncles, all we do is talk about each other.
And
I
cry.
said, no, we don't cry. Well, some of them cry. Some of them brothers be getting, like Dante and them, he be getting, all right, that's enough. So, but what I'm saying is like, it's about learning to control, right?
emotions, right.
If I didn't know how to control, and I had to learn how to control my emotions too as I got older, I would hold a lot of stuff in and I would explode. But my mind was, you use these, you don't go get a pistol. So these young dudes,
But everybody got a gun now. Everybody has a gun now. And the thing is that gun makes them stronger.
Yeah.
They talk less.
Yeah.
They fight less, and they'll just shoot.
No, because the first
they're
thing
scared.
they do is, man, I'm finna run and go get my gun. I'm here right now. Why you
right.
got to run and go get your gun?
Because I know that I can't beat you or think that I can't, or I fear you anyway. And a lot of these senseless killings, as I call them, a lot of times they've seen this person 9, 10 times throughout the whole day.
Yeah.
And said nothing. They know exactly where this person been all day because the person been posting on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all of that on what they were doing all of this day.
Mm-hmm.
Says nothing. As soon as they get around this little crowd, right?
Showing
that
out.
boosts them up.
Showing
now
out.
they got to show out. You know, especially the ones who sit around their boys or homegirls and talk about, when I see this so and so, it's on. But then you with your crew and they say, "Oh, that go what's name? You said he was going boom, boom, boom. What's going on?"
Some of these people, some of these children, or people in general, some people just don't fear life. Like, they don't fear the death of life, you know?
I don't think they think it's real.
Real.
Like once you're gone, you're gone. Or like you said, or maybe they feel too as though like they don't have a meaning.
Yeah,
Like they don't
some
have a
people
purpose
don't
of
care.
life.
Yeah,
Purpose
it's like,
of life,
I'm
right.
here. These things have been happening to me. So many people have had so much tragic stuff happen to them that we may not know about, or they've been in toxic situations. So
Dysfunction.
yeah, a lot of dysfunction. So it's just nothing to them. Like, you know, life is whatever it is. I'm here right now, and if I'm going tomorrow, I'm just gone.
So it's almost like suicide.
It basically.
You know, you asked Saturday when we were at the podcast in the park. You said, what resources can, like, Grand Rapids implement in the inner city to make the black experience better? As we sitting here, all I'm hearing is like mental health. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly.
Counseling. Like, but we have to, one, be open to it. And I think that it starts with like people like me, you, Mondo, you know, Don, them, like all of these older cats, because we still got some stuff that we haven't unpacked too.
Right.
We may be a little bit stronger mentally to deal with it and suppress it, but imagine how much stuff some of these kids have seen and been through and had done to them, right? And so that plays a part in what's going on now too. Then you got to look at mental health is not a big issue in the black community. Not saying that it doesn't exist, but what I mean by a big issue is no one's pushing that agenda to say we may want to look at the mental health of some of these people before this happens. So I think that bringing mental health into the inner community, like far as like having a place
Like if
where they got
like,
free.
Yeah,
like Alexander,
absolutely.
the
like
empty
at the
Alexander
school.
school
Yeah.
building that's just sitting there, just writing away. And
It'd be
all this
awesome
funding.
if people, if it was a way for these children and people in the community to be able to get that type of mental help, or
and not be a stigma attached to it.
yeah,
Right.
or because most of the time people are like, oh, they're just crazy, blah blah blah. But in actuality, they probably actually have a issue. You know what I mean?
You
And-
have
PTSD.
to be, and,
Yeah.
and I don't mean to say crazy in disrespectful way. I want to say crazy and mental ill, or I want to put them together. You have to be out your mind to take a life.
Yeah, especially if your life is not at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and even then, you probably
have
think
to
about
have something has to be going on in here for you to get to a point where I want to take your
but
life.
sometimes some people might feel that power. It might be a power grab you
that
know
they
what I
never
mean?
had, and now
Yeah,
they can
and then
control.
they do it, and then they're so high on this high that they've killed someone, that you know they feel like, oh, this is what I did, and
But I think it's
I
crazy.
know guys. I mean, they older than me. They didn't took a couple lives, and it's like
yeah, you should stop talking.
But
no,
I know
they didn't did their time.
They,
Oh, okay.
they
Yeah,
pay
they
their
did their
debt
time.
to
They
society,
pay
but
their
not to
debt.
that family.
Right.
But what I think that a lot of times when you look at these young men, it plays a part that they don't have that outlet, right? When we think about outlets, there's not a lot of programs like it used to be when I was young, and of course when you were young.
He was hanging out with Jesus, so he had all the help he needed. You know what I'm saying? He didn't need no
One of the
counseling.
original disciples. But when you look at it and you look at these
I
programs,
hope both of y'all get an STD, but keep on going.
you can get that by hanging out with light-skinned people. So what I was saying is that you look at
That's just sick.
a lot of the resources
Y'all gonna leave me alone.
to come in should be things like that, like pouring resources into these organizations that we do have that are grassroots organizations that do the best that they can, because there's a lot of organizations in the inner city but they do what they can, but the money's not there, right? And we need to pour those resources to have the access to them where they can have these programs where they can feel good about themselves and teach them something about being a man. If I only know chaos,
Yeah.
then I
And
learn to
dysfunction.
function
I'm gonna
in
live in chaos.
Yeah.
right? If you take me out of chaos and put me somewhere else, then humans adapt. But if I don't have to adapt to anything outside of chaos, then that's where it's going to be. As you said, if everybody in my family was a shooter,
I'm gonna be a shooter.
I'm gonna be a
And
shooter,
then
or I'm gonna try to be a shooter.
Or what happens is, then they take that because they know it's in me, and they feed that.
Feed that, yep.
You know what I'm saying? They don't look, okay, well, he's a good reader, or he's good in math, or he's good with his
He got
hands.
anger problems like his daddy.
Right. You know, like you'll see a kid like always want to take things apart,
Right.
or whatever. But then I know back in school back in the day, you know, we had shop class
Right.
where you learned how to do little woodworking things. You learn how the
Condense.
small, all that kind of stuff. I think they still had that because my son did cadets.
But there's not a lot of funding in the community for that. That's another reason why defunding the police would be a good thing, because in the city of Grand Rapids, the police department generally gets a higher percentage than the Board of Education.
Ain't that stupid?
And if the Board of Education had more profits, they'd probably be able to instill more programs like that, but it's not as easy because they don't really have the funding. Another thing is, like how everybody was down at that, at King Park that day or whatever, a lot of these churches were there. And not only were the churches there, the police department was there, or the chief. And then there were all these people in the community. All these people in the community, all these churches, also the police, all have different platforms. And within these churches and these pastors being there, there's several people of these churches who are, members of these churches, who are psychologists, who are counselors, who work with children. So why not, as a pastor of one of these churches, go back to your members and say, hey, you think we could get this together? And these churches are huge. So you have all this availability in these rooms, in these places where people can work together. You can bring these people from the community into these churches.
True, because the churches only used twice a week.
The issue is this with that, Daph, is that these churches are doing that, but they're doing it for their members.
Oh,
right?
what church?
So there's churches who have psychologists that you can go in and talk, and I got a mental health problem. Oh, we have somebody who can do that. The issue, I think, is this. And I'm not saying on a bigger scale they're doing like amazing.
If you're not tithing here.
But what I'm saying is that the resources could be in the church, but sometimes they don't make it out the church. So if I'm a psychologist and I'm in the church, right, and I'm helping sparingly people in the church, right, until I walk out of those 4 doors and go out into the community with some of the real community leaders and find out where my services can actually be better used, right, or can be used at a greater level.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what we have in the church if it ain't coming out. The same thing with community leaders. They sit on boards and they have platforms to do these things, right? You just got to use it the right way. You just got to be able to say this.
But that's what I'm saying. These people aren't. They walked down there. They stood out there. It's a possibility for you now to open up your doors and open up the availability for people to be able to help these people in the community. And instead of just going back and closing your 4 doors and saying, oh, well, I went out there, I looked around, I hugged, I bumped elbows, and now it's over.
And then to go back what I said earlier, probably if I'm a person participating in one of those events, I may be good, like I don't need it. I'm just here for support. But I don't need to support you. I don't need to support you. I need us to support
each other.
Them.
Yeah.
Well, them, because they the ones need our help.
And it made exactly what you said and made me think this, is that when we do something like this again, because I'm sure it's going to happen again, that each one of the men need to bring a younger person that's actually in the community so that they can see it. Because as you said, we out there, but it's us out there. We need to start pulling them in, because the biggest influence is your peers.
Yeah.
You can tell your kid something, and your son his friend can say the same thing, and you like, boy, I've been telling you that for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, or his friends may see him doing something with you, and now all of a sudden they're interested in it, but had never been exposed to it before. So that's just access.
I just had a thought too, that now we know a lot of this stuff isn't like the high school age kid. It's the, but you think you want to catch them at about 13, because it's easier, to get the mind right of a 13-year-old than it is a 23-year-old. With schools not being in. Now, if I'm 13, my mama worked 3rd shift. I'm supposed to be online doing school. I'm running the streets. I'm saying this is me at 13. I'm running the streets. Right. My mama at work. My mama gone for the day. You expect me to sit in the house on this?
I'll be in about an hour before she get home.
Or I'm having a guest over. Something, right? So I remember I met a guy. I was out working one day, and somebody had spray painted on the side of their building, right on Fulton and Diamond area, right? The guy was talking. He said, the issue with today is there's no parents at home. And I'm like, well, they got parents. He said, no. He said, back in the day, how society was set up,
There was somebody always there.
yep, somebody was always home. Like, so dad can go out and work, and then whatever his salary was would be enough for you to have a house, have groceries, meet all your needs. Mom would be there to get the kids
The
off in the
nurturing
morning,
side, right.
loving when they came home from school. He said there was so many activities. He said you go to the YMCA, and he was like, things were affordable. That's what I'm looking for. Things were affordable. Sports and stuff, you didn't have to pay for equipment. It was like always something to do to keep your kids out of trouble. He said as the years went on, that changed.
Because the first thing they do is take money from things like that. They take money from those organizations. They cut those budgets, and then you just sending people out to
Can I
think
give
about.
my opinion why?
Huh?
Can I give my opinion why?
You got the shirt on.
Well, in my opinion, so let's look where money goes, right? So money leaves school, right? The biggest school district in West Michigan, right,
Almost get the less.
gets less funding, right? So we ain't gonna go into equality and equity. We're not gonna go there. They just take money from there, right? So where they put money at, get it in transportation, building up downtown. But like you said, to the police. So if you got more police on the streets, you got more, and I don't want to give them a negative, make them sound negative, but you got more kids in the streets, because what's the point of me going to school? I'm not learning nothing. They got a target on my back. They kicking me out of school. So now I'm just roaming, because I can't be at home during the day because my mama ain't having it.
At all. You ain't got.
So,
you gotta get up out of here.
Yep. So now I grow older. I don't have any job skills, stuff like that. Can't get a job. I'm running the streets, right? Hanging out wherever. So what happens? They put me in the back of that car. Where am I going? I'm going to on Ball Street.
Right.
I'm going to county jail.
3 hots and a cot.
Right. And then guess what?
Maybe 2.
Now the county, so the county's making money, right?
Right.
Police, that funding, you keep filling up these sales. Y'all money gonna keep going. The county getting money. So because you make money off of that, you can't make no money off the public school system.
So, when you say that, what do you think that we could do to change that?
Man, you know how you always say, I take it to the plantation. Y'all like that Jim Crow 1960. She Jim Crow, you civil rights era. It's almost like
Right. I just realized that we do all have
right.
our little
So
era.
it's almost like in the civil rights era, where in between Jim Crow and civil rights era, where we was like, no, we got this.
Right.
We could police ourselves. Like, we see kids out doing it, and it's like, no. But then again, it's like, we know you're not gonna go to school, right? We don't want you going to jail. Then where is it for you to go, other than running the streets? And that's the
Nowhere,
kind of
because there's
hard part.
like no activity
Activities,
centers
right.
or anything like that. But at the same time, I think if a lot of people in the community came together, or a group of individuals in the community came together with a group of the people from the police department, I just feel like a lot of the stuff that they have is just unnecessary. Like, who needs SWAT vehicles? What's happening in Grand Rapids?
It ain't that much.
You know what I'm
doggone.
saying? Like, you could take some of that and use it towards some other type of organization, where you could build an organization that works with the police department and also works with the people in the community, so that you could reach out to these people and these children in the community to help
If I
them.
tell y'all one day how many police they had come get little old me on crutches,
But
I'm like,
I'm just
y'all
saying, a
one
lot
of
of
y'all
stuff,
could have came and
a
got
lot
me.
of
Actually,
stuff
nicely.
is unnecessary. And then to think that police department is built inside of the city center
Right.
from
And
past years.
they had the train in
They
it.
had that thing.
Wait,
the
that's all
train.
y'all think about. But
Yep.
it was the city center was a center where you could
Right.
go and have different types of activities, and it was for children and growth and development.
Oh, so the
And to
children had
think-
an experience.
and to think that they're inside of that building on that history, and not actually stepping out on that history and doing things
Well,
for
I think that along with the police department, which I think needs restructuring financially, I think that we look at all sectors, like the people who we vote inside of these political appointments.
the municipalities
And
of
so
Grand
as we
Rapids.
as we appoint these people, and they don't push forth our agenda,
Oh,
then what we do.
What does,
you already know what I have to
because
say
what does
about
the
that.
agenda do
but
for
let me-
them?
but what I'm
sorry,
saying
go
is
what's
ahead.
the agenda?
But my thing is this: they come and they sell us all of these things during this campaign, like they're doing now,
I
right?
have a dream.
Right. So the thing of it is that okay, fool me once, great, you got me. You're not gonna fool me twice. Like if you didn't, and I'm not saying you can complete everything that you said on your list, but if you don't even scratch two things off of your list of the votes that got you in, or the majority of your constituents, then we get into that act of just voting people in because they got our skin tone,
But
or
that's
voting,
what it is, 'cause
or voting
most of
people
them-
in because they've been in there so long,
Long, yeah.
and your mama always talked about, oh, so and so is the
Yeah.
this, the that, and you be like, you go to vote and you see that name,
yeah.
it resonates, right?
Yeah, or they show up to something that some black person is opening in the community, and they're like, "Hi, look at me, see my face,"
That's a lot
and
of
then you
times what
never
happens
see them
though.
in that community again.
Because how many? I mean, really, in our community, right? And we have a couple black people like in different offices. But in actuality, which one of them really said what they were going to do for us?
Well, some of them just said, hey, I'm black like you.
That's what I'm saying. So we never said, "Hey,
do this for us," and they never
if
said,
you
I'm
want,
doing nothing for
right?
you.
If you want us to vote for you, we'll vote for you. But we need you to make this happen. And
You know
we don't
what?
do that. We just say, you know what? Ooh, your dress is nice. That girl, that girl
I
can dress.
also
We gonna
think
vote for
a lot
her.
of these people in these positions reach out to people that they think are popular or are of some type of stigma in the community.
Yeah, and don't be doing SHIT.
They don't do anything, and they don't reach out to the ground level grassroots of the community. They go and they reach out to these people because they might own something. They're trying to sell a hat, or they're trying to sell a shirt because of whatever. And I'm not going to get into that, but they reach out to these people and they don't reach out to the actual people who are living in the community and living day to day, hour to hour, dollar to dollar, check to check in these communities. They go and they reach out to these people who are already profiting, already have
That'd be the
things,
thing. Like y'all already help the people who don't need the help. Y'all don't help the people who don't need the help. Help the single mama who going to work every day struggling. Help her.
Help these women sit at the bus stop with a stroller.
Right. Has she probably made bad decisions and got her here? Yes. Maybe no one taught her. So you have a women's resource center, and they can help them.
That's really, see, the issue is a lot of these programs that's supposed to help are ran by people who are disconnected from the people who they're supposed to help.
Yeah.
And it's really not about helping to them. It's about numbers. It's about crossing things off a list. So when you're working with a grant and the grant say you got to help 13 people get apartments, right? It didn't say nothing about the quality of the apartment, right? So now these people living in these apartments there's no quality in there, right? And now I check it off the list and I keep moving, right? Instead of sitting with these people. I think as African Americans in
black.
this city.
I'm black. My birth certificate say black because I'm old. There weren't no African Americans when I was born. I'm sorry, go ahead.
As African American,
BC.
light-skinned blacks, I guess, I think that it'll be amazing for us to, this upcoming campaign, and not just the presidential campaign, but local politics, to get behind someone and force them to go in there and make changes. Like literally, imagine if you're running for office and I come to you and say, I represent 4,000 people in Grand Rapids. This is our agenda.
I'll have everybody vote for you.
We ready to vote for you. We come in solidarity and we're saying this is our agenda. Can you fight for our agenda and make it work? Not saying you're gonna get everything. And then they say no. I don't agree with boom, 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 boom. Maybe we can negotiate, blah, blah. But for the most part, if you can't, then we take our vote somewhere else.
Right, yeah.
Like I think when we learn
And
the
that's
power,
that's what I'm saying we should do. Make people earn our vote.
What's so crazy is, so we did that podcast in the park the other day.
we did.
And,
awesome.
it was some people from the local municipalities who were there. And I'm not trying to go and stir any pots or anything like this, but seeing the fact that we're talking about being black in the community.
And we were the only
And we were the
all-black-
only black podcast. I found it odd that some people didn't stick around to even hear what the black people, or at least 3 black people in the community, the grassroots part of the community, had to say. They were just like,
I spent my time.
Time to go shuck
time to
and
go.
jive.
No need to talk to these brown people. No need to hear what they have to say, even if I listen to a little bit of what they have to say. But it's okay, because I'm going to listen to the people who are more popular in the community, who can do things for me.
So-
but I'm not stirring the pot or anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah, guess
So-
I'll just scroll.
Thank you,
Right.
Grand Rapids Municipality.
So I think that, when you look at the violence inside of Grand Rapids or other cities, sometimes you got to look beyond and see what's the actual issue. Yes, there's some accountability for the people who's doing the senseless killing, but then you got to look at the environment and how the system is set up and how it continues to repeat itself, but no one's really fixing anything, a lot of Band-Aids. And that goes for not just the local government, but for the local leadership and also for the neighborhood
Yeah, I was
leadership
gonna say the household.
and the household leadership, to get back to that point where respect is there.
Yeah.
I don't think that, I think there's no respect and people are lost.
There isn't respect and people are lost, but like we talk on a broad front here, and we don't know the in-depth details of
Right,
some
sure,
of these
sure.
situations, because as I know of, just not too long ago, some of these children are actually living, they're house hopping.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So many.
They're couch surfing.
It's a
They're
lot of
living
homeless
outside
teenagers.
in
Yep.
garages, and people don't even know that. They just think, oh, these kids are buck wild out here, whatever.
No, they
and they
hurting.
are. They are hurt. They don't have anything, and they don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anybody to look up to. And we're only talking surface level stuff right
Right.
now. You know what I'm saying, between us, but deep down below the surface, it's a lot of bad stuff.
A lot of crying.
Come downtown GR. If you really like Jump, my man James Jump, he got relationships with a lot of them kids. That's what he put me on. So I be wondering why I be seeing some kids. I'm thinking like they skipping school, and I be like, hey, what y'all doing down here? Y'all supposed to, not knowing that
That's
they
where
was
they live.
homeless. Like I
Right.
didn't know. So they waiting for different places so they can go in there, shower, wash their clothes and stuff. And I was blind to it. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of hurt me because I felt bad that, my assumption was, y'all
just being-
just some knuckleheads.
because we're not looking
knowing-
at the real issue.
Yep. not knowing
They're
their
actually
situation.
living the I got to do what I got to do to get to what I need in life.
Right.
Yep.
But think about it like that. Like a lot of that's why I said going into the community. Like me, I'm not scared to go in any community, right? And anywhere. I just think that for me, especially being back home, I'm going to any community. If I want to speak to a kid, I'm going to find you where you're at, right? But I'm not going to come with all that disrespect, right? So a lot of times that what I see is that people want to come to young people and speak to them as if they're where they need to be, and not speaking to them to where they're at, right? And then what they do is that they treat them like they should know certain things because of their
don't.
age or
Yeah, they kids.
their family or whatever. But deep down, these kids are really crying.
Yeah.
They're
They're
crying
hurt.
so loud
Yeah.
and no one can hear them, so they're acting out so that you can give them some attention. Now,
So-
mind
so-
you, some of this attention is horrible.
But some of it too, because you could take kids that's not from the inner city, that come from these places. Your parents giving you a nice life,
Right.
But you want to be in the hood, from the hood, and we didn't see it. And I know for it and happen in my family. You know what I'm saying? They out trying to sell a couple pounds of weed or something. This is not like a lifestyle that's part of you. And then you shoot somebody and kill them. Like, what? This not
Trying to
even
prove
you.
yourself.
I think it was last year or the year before, over in the Florentines parking lot, young guy, try to rock. Wait, y'all, this not even y'all lifestyle. Like, y'all didn't. This is not what like you say in the inner city. Sometimes, in different instances, is that I'm hustling to feed and support my family.
Right.
You're doing this as a hobby, like because I want to be cool.
But then at the same time, you wonder, where are they even getting these weapons? What adult?
Bingo.
Well,
That's the issue.
I got two opinions on that, but go ahead.
My opinion on that is this, is that there's adults who are pushing this, right?
Yeah.
So they are kind of indirectly making this city what it is. Because they're getting the guns in the kids' hands, they're getting the drugs in the kids' hands.
Yep.
So if a kid is buying drugs from you,
Cause can't no kid go out and get a bottle of pills and the
it's
thing
coming
of,
from
of
somewhere.
lean.
They can
Yep.
steal them and all of that. But what I'm saying is, I think that the people who they look up to are condoning
Yeah.
this lifestyle. And so not only they're condoning this lifestyle, once they condone this lifestyle, then the kid feels good in the position that they're in. They're feeling loved, they're feeling welcome, they feel a part of
Yep.
something.
I got
They feel
a father. I got a
protected.
father figure.
They feel
They feel
protected.
like they're in a family.
But like you said, you got
It's
that
a
pseudo
structure
family.
for
And
them.
so
Yeah.
then when you're in that pseudo family, you're going to do whatever it takes to protect that family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So say if your family, your real family, is giving you all that you need, then this family has something to offer you. But if they're not, maybe you get neglected, maybe you're not eating. It could be as simple as not eating every day,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy feeds you every day.
Yeah, come on, little man, let's go get something to
Let's
eat.
go get something to eat.
I
And
got
then-
a girl that'll get you a
then-
crab roll.
right. So then let's get something to eat.
Yep.
Turn into, can you go do this for me?
Yeah,
or
put this in your backpack.
do this or whatever.
Yeah,
the
because
case may
they're
be.
feeling that love.
Yeah.
And then they don't want to lose it.
Oh, you need
But
some lunch money? Yep, throw this in
Right.
your
But
backpack
the-
on your way home. Just drop this off.
Drop
at
this
so-and-so.
off. The crazy part is this: people now that are dying, some of these people grew up together, like same neighborhood, slept in the same house, wore each other clothes, like ate the same cereal out of the same milk, like took baths together. Like they're killing people who they genuinely not even really beefing with, but they killing people who they know may have a disagreement with, right? And for me, every time a young black man die, I get like super sad. Like my emotions be crazy. You know, like today when I found out that Boone had got killed, like I was emotionally distraught. Like that's my guy. I grew up with him. You know what I'm saying? I just saw him riding down the street, yelling out. I was at my sister's house. He yelling out of the car. Wait till I see you when I got you. That's how we talked. You know what I'm saying? Going back and forth, and to hear that his life was taken, I immediately got
For no
sad.
reason.
I can't, like emotionally, it stirs me up. And I know that there's a lot of people who are stirring, but I hope it stirs us up this time so much, right? That we do something about it. And when I mean do something about it, maybe we got to pull our resources together, whether that's going to be money, whether that's going to be all these organizations that's out here doing wonderful things, coming together and doing one great thing. Because we're doing it, but we're separating it. So you doing a little, I'm doing a little, he doing a little. But there's nothing as a collective
That's
Right, yeah.
conjoining.
that's conjoining us doing it. You know
it's
why?
like it's competition.
Everybody's name wants to be on the marquee.
That's what it is. No collaboration, and
Yeah.
then you start a competition.
But it
Yep.
doesn't
Some-
really
some
matter.
people want Facebook likes.
Yes, yeah, they do, and I don't think people understand that. I could, or you, or anybody could give, but you don't necessarily have to be known to be a giver. People don't have to know that you gave. You know, it's the point that you know you did it from your heart, and people came together and worked together to get something
But
done.
it's like you said, it could be like, you know, I see Will. He'll
is
do,
killing me.
Will gonna do good stuff for the kids in the community. Blah blah blah. Well, you know what? I don't know, cause I don't like Will podcast.
This podcast is dope.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. So people won't support a good thing because you don't like.
Something else. Right.
Something
I mean,
else,
I don't like you either, but I'm gonna come and support you.
Right.
What's the point? You know.
But even with the guns, they used to say like in Chicago, this is what I heard people, and then like stories I read, they said it would just be a truck would just stop, boom, keep on going. You walk down the alley, it'd be a box just full of guns.
You would have heard that in Grand Rapids already. These people would have
Right,
talked,
yeah.
But
it's
you
some
know-
other story.
But
you know what's crazy is that, you know, I just.
But it could be.
It could be. But I just
But-
talked
but
about.
I'll say like, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes, you did.
I didn't mean to.
Sometimes
I did,
y'all
but I
need to
didn't
be
mean
cut
to.
off.
Okay, well you should just do it then. I told
She's
you before,
scared.
just cut us off.
I'm not scared. It's
no,
just
you
y'all
get
just
at
keep-
it. You
no,
get
y'all-
attitude. You be like, never mind. I just want to say, no, just cut us off.
Y'all just
She's on
keep talking.
peace, and you keep talking too. Somebody gonna have to stop. But
Anyways.
and you know I'm old. You know I be losing my train of dang on
You're
thought.
just telling me.
But
I
I
can
guess
speak.
I should respect old people, so go ahead.
I lost my train of thought.
So this is what I'm saying.
When I remember, I'll cut him off.
That was
This
my
is-
purpose.
this is what
that
I'm
was
saying.
my toxic purpose.
You did good there.
I just talked about how these groups doing little things in little places, but then I had to think back of sitting on a board before on like Partners to End Homelessness. I sat on that board. I sat on the One Michigan board before I left, and thinking back, if I give $100,000 to the 49507 and there's 15 people doing something and I break all that money up, I'm not really giving enough money for you to make a change in
There's
the
not
neighborhood.
gonna be no
I'm
equity.
just, again, giving enough money to check some off the list to say, well, we gave $100,000 to,
Because I got to get my salary.
right,
We got to
$100,000
pay
to
the
the
light bill.
49507, right? But then I gave a little to mental health, a little to sports, a little to programming, right? Just enough to get by, but not make a change. Imagine if we had a co-op where all of these things were happening and the money came into that place. And Mondo may have the mental health side. I may be an activities person, maybe a program person, but it's all under, one thing.
umbrella, yeah.
I think that something like that probably won't happen because of people's egos, but I think that the more that we come together and we're not duplicating services, because a lot of times that's what happens. Everybody's getting money to do the same thing. So to be able to come together, that's going to have change because it's more power in numbers. And we got to figure out how they getting these guns. And I got my ideas of where they coming from, but I think that that's the first thing. Figure out how we reach these teenagers and young adults. What are we missing? Because we're missing something apparently. And how do we as a community come together and change it and have a real plan? Like
and that's
me,
the
when
thing.
let me finish, okay?
Y'all so rude.
I think that I would feel good going to a rally or whatever you want to call the things that we have if I walk away knowing these are the 10 things that
'Cause
they just said as a
I'm tired of
collective
these
we're going to work
rallies.
on.
Yeah, you get sprayed at the rallies if you.
No,
did
it's not
something.
No, I'm
even-
not talking about those type of rallies.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm talking about
I got sprayed.
I'm tired of seeing rallies and then nothing happen.
Right.
We prove that we all can walk down the street together.
Well,
without
And
the
then-
people who were actually out there.
Right.
But then, okay, now where's the change?
In your pocket.
It's sometimes the change starts with everybody being involved. Also,
They've been marching.
yeah, but they have been marching. 10
Allah,
people
I
have been
spilled my
marching.
blood on that bridge in Selma.
Yeah, and so many people have been marching, and people are marching individually, and then there's other people out there who are just like, oh, look at them go march. Okay, nobody cares about your song right now, but some people
Because
are
it's
just.
disrespectful.
Yeah, but they're just marching. You know what I'm
that's-
saying?
that's
But
what I'm
there's
saying.
nobody coming and saying, hey, you know what I'm saying? Okay, let's do this because you're marching, or let's help because you're
Right,
marching,
and
or
that's what I'm
anything.
saying.
Again, people were downtown on Saturday and saw that people were marching, and still,
They was like, oh, okay.
look at them.
But some people just scared of the work. Like they want to be there for the rah rah rah, but when it's time to do the work, that's when they disappear.
But it's not that those people who are marching aren't trying to do any work. That's their
No, I'm not
option.
saying
Yeah,
those.
that's-
I'm
yeah.
saying that some people will only be a part at that one stage,
Yeah.
and then when you say, "Okay, here's the plan," they're like, "Oh,
But
I don't want to do that."
But it's two-part. Sometimes there is no plan.
Yeah.
The only plan is to march.
To march.
And then sometimes some people are only good. They're only good for the march.
But that's cool, 'cause
right? And
everybody
that's
got
what
a
I'm saying.
place.
And that was my point, because I need you at the march because you're popular. So people will
Gonna come with you.
and then maybe we'll get noticed, right? So once we get noticed, then now we can put our plan in motion. But what happens is they don't have a plan, so they have nothing to put in motion. So we're just walking up and down the street.
But
So do we want? So now it's election time. So let's talk policy. Let's talk agenda. Let's talk about, okay, you're the person we want to vote for. You need to be out here marching with us. These are our demands. Now you see all these people. These are all your votes. What you
Right.
gonna do? And that's what I mean.
yeah, I agree with that, but
See, it's always a but.
It's always a
that
but.
comma.
it's always a but. But what I'm saying is I agree with what you're saying, but I also think that like a week ago, my siblings were having some type of disagreement, and my sister said,
Y'all always disagreeing.
I know, but my sister said, you got to let everybody play their role,
Fact,
right?
yeah.
She said, what's the problem is if you want the marcher to be the planner,
Right.
or you want the planner to be the organizer,
Yep.
then it don't happen. You
Yes,
got to look
too many
at
Indians, not enough chiefs.
you got to look at where our
your
strengths
strengths are,
are,
yeah.
And you may be a marcher that can bring 50 people,
Yep.
but those 50 people may not want anything to do with policy or nothing. They just want to be a part of the movement and show our strength in numbers.
Yep.
Then you may
And
have the
that's-
people with the
that's a
mind.
good thing,
But then
Yeah.
that makes the point where maybe it should be some type of community gathering where you get so many people and
You
then
find out what their strengths are.
You find out
Yep.
what the strengths are, and you find out, okay, so this group of 10 people can go and get marchers. This group of 10 people can go and get counselors. This
Yep.
group of 10 people can get organizers. So then everybody can come together as a conjunction and work together and see where everybody
Right.
Yep.
And I
can-
think
can
that
move
in
forward.
those things, because I use that in work
Junction, what's
sometimes.
my function?
Right.
All right, PBS, come through.
I use that in work sometime where it's more like I don't want to call people the leaders of the group, so I want you to champion this issue, right? Because it just sounds like I want you to champion this issue, and so we got all these champions out there instead of saying you're the leader. And all of a sudden, nobody has an issue with the agenda. They just don't want you to be the leader.
right.
Yeah.
But to close out, across the world, all of this violence, I think that it's time for action. We've prayed, we've
Just stop.
marched,
And this-
we wrote letters, we've done all of these things. It's time to go to action and have a real
It's
plan.
gonna get worse if y'all don't vote November 3rd.
Yeah, and just
And we
have
don't mean presidential. We mean
Right. Everything.
locally. Everything.
local.
I mean
especially.
vote.
Yeah,
Right.
I
Just
don't
vote.
care how you vote.
So, I do.
Because your ancestors paid
Right.
their lives. That
yeah.
ain't why I'm saying vote. but
I
I'm just
sincerely,
saying.
send condolences out to all the people who have been lost to senseless
Absolutely.
violence.
Yes. Yeah.
No matter where that violence has come from.
Arrest the
special
cops
for me.
who killed
This is
Breonna
my
Taylor.
final thought. A special to me is my boy Ramito. Man, that's my guy. Bone. I'm sorry he had to go and just be another number that's etched in this city for senseless violence. So that's all for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like maybe I don't know if I like do enough of reaching out or anything like that. I talk to people, whatever, but maybe I should myself reach out more and do more in different types of situations to help people or gather or do for the cause or whatever besides secretly doing for the cause, I guess,
I mean, it's okay.
Well, I
if you're
just feel like I
behind
do
the
my
scenes.
I don't feel like you have to boast about the things that you do in the community. So I just feel like if we could all come together as a conjunct, that we could work better in the community and do better for our community and make our community grow besides just growing in developmental ways and gentrifying and pushing the people out of the communities that they're already in and worsening in some situations.
And that's why I think some of this violence is part of a bigger agenda.
It's a way bigger agenda, and we have to figure out what lines we need to cross
all
in
this
the
violence
agenda.
isn't us against us. I think is much bigger picture.
What a narrative is being
But-
pushed differently.
Right, but for our people, our young people in general, our young men and women too, is that that we'll wake up, right? But it's just like when you was a child in the bed sleeping, running late for school, the parent, the adult, the elder, caretaker needs to wake you up. So what I'm saying is that we have to wake up our young people. Somebody dropped the ball. It wasn't them. They just doing all that they know.
Right.
So it's just like we got to just bridging that gap, and because at the end of the day, there are, whether we birth them or not, there are children. The Bible
They are
said
tribe.
you got to take care of the orphans.
So this has been another edition of In My Humble Opinion. Stay safe out there. The sweatshirts are out. $25 for the sweatshirts. Inbox myself, Mondo, or Daff. It's just a little funky $25. That's all it is.
Follow our YouTube page, like, subscribe,
Look for the logo.
share.
Spotify, Apple
All those good
Podcasts.
places where you could find them at. Keep those opinions coming and keep them humble. We out. We appreciate you.
Peace.
Peace out.
Are we done, Matt?
Hey, what's going on? We'd like to thank you guys for checking out our podcast. I'd like to thank WKTV Community Media. I'd like to give a big shout out to Matt Zuby for engineering and editing this podcast for us. You can check us out on all your podcast outlets and also on social media. Stay humble, stay opinionated, and see you later.